What's flip flopping? I am here with Raymond Graham, who has been with Gameheads for quite some time now. My name is Mcgladrey. Do you want to introduce yourself for us real quick, please?
Yes, hello. Hi, I'm Raymond Graham. I'm a technical director over at Unity Software. I'm also currently a mentor and a board member at Gameheads, and I've been with Gameheads now for about it's been about 4 years
Wow, 4 years? I can't even count that high. I mean,
now.
so how long have you been at Unity for?
I've been at Unity going on in October. It'll be 6 years. So it's almost 6 years at this point.
I
Yeah.
see. And well, you weren't always at Unity, so where did you first, initiate your video game dev career?
Right. So I've been in the video game industry for about 23 years now. Made a bunch of different games. Started at a company called New Effects in Chicago, where we worked on a game called NBA Street. Also worked at Visual Concepts, EA, 2K Marin, Ubisoft Toronto. I spent some time at Apple working on GPU drivers for the iPhone and the tablets,
Hmm.
and now I'm here. I'm here at Unity.
Very cool. So you kind of done like engineering and like some design work and
Well,
now.
most of my background is actually 3D graphics, right? So I do a lot of 3D graphics programming, low-level systems engineering, memory management, performance, things like that.
I see. Oh, do you have any experience with motion graphics by any chance?
Nope,
Okay.
nope. I
So,
am not an artist. I am. I'm zero art skills
okay.
entirely.
Nice. Very great mechanics, but no art
Yeah,
in the game.
yeah.
All right. When did you first realize that you could pursue a career in game development?
Yeah, well, I think it just started from when I started playing video games. My mother bought me my first computer. I started playing video games. I learned I learned how to program as well because I kind of just got interested in how do games get made. I started programming, and then that was it. Like I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do, right? And I knew that like a very early age. Didn't know how to do it. Didn't know where to go or how to get there. But I knew that this was something that I wanted to do from that time. Yeah.
All right. And so started programming, started kind of teaching yourself and just getting your, foot in the craft.
Yeah.
What kind of resources did you have back in the day?
Like none. Basically, resources you had was like maybe there were some programming books that you could go buy at the store, or there's other people friends of yours that you knew that kind of were into it too, and you would like share notes or work together on things, or they'll share code with you, you share code with
Mhm.
them. It's a lot of word of mouth type of thing. I did discover like BBS, the bulletin board, right, where you would dial into a bulletin board system. It's kind of like a forum or a message group or a Discord server, but back in
Mm.
the day, you would just dial in, and there would be different channels that you could talk with people on, and people that were into games or into programming. And this kind of old word of mouth and things like that, or you would have to buy some sort of book, and there wasn't a lot of books on game development at the time I was coming up, right? And then just over time, I was just like, hey, I'm going to go to school for computer science. I did a graphics course in computer science where we had to make, like, part of our graphics assignment was to make a video game, and so it's like, okay, I guess. And I made a video game during that time that wasn't very good, and it didn't run very well, and it didn't look good, but like it was, at least that was the first video game I ever actually made. But these days, like the amount of resources that are available now is like pales in comparison to like how it was like when I was coming up. Now you don't even need to know how to program to make a video game.
Is that so?
Yeah. And back in the day, you had to like learn everything yourself, learn how to build it, learn how to code, learn how the art, learn this particular machine that you wanted to make the game on, because you would have to talk directly to the machine. There wasn't things like DirectX or Vulkan when I was coming up, right? There's OpenGL, right,
Mhm.
around the time when I was coming up, but still it was very like before that, even the OpenGL times, it was very a lot of real specialist knowledge you had to have in order to even start building something.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you've been around and you're naming softwares that I can't even, acknowledge and whatnot. But you talked about the resources that students these days have, but
Yeah.
one thing you didn't mention was yourself, Raymond. Your resource. Your resource.
Well,
Your
yeah,
resource.
I guess that is the work I do right now with Gameheads, right? I instruct and I help the students learn how to make video games, right? With using the tools that they have, how to use the tools they have to get there. Yeah, but I think I had some of that when I was coming up. There were some people that I could reach out to and ask for help, but like, yeah, definitely nowadays it's next level for students to be able to get access to somebody who works in the industry.
Yeah.
Right. That was unheard of, like when I was coming up.
No, definitely. I mean, yeah, Raymond on a weekly basis has a whole bunch of spam email from Gamehead students asking about code and my mechanic's broken, my animator, my audio controller isn't doing audio. And then Raymond here, you also hook us up with Unity Day. Can you explain what that is a bit for our students?
Yeah, well, through some connections with Unity and Damon working with some of the folks over at Unity, giving students the ability to come into the office and talk with actual Unity developers who may have made games themselves or know how Unity works, to give people advice on their projects, right, and help them out with any issues they may have with Unity or with their projects. Look at their projects, give them input on the game design even, right? So it's an opportunity for them to come and not only see a cool office, but also like get some work done and really learn some value, gain some valuable insight from the employees at Unity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's some indie companies out there and solo developers that don't really have access to a Unity engineer right before they got to push out a demo. So
yeah, it's definitely a very unique situation for a lot of folks.
mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, developers out there in the wild they might have an email of somebody they can reach out to, but being able to sit down face to face with somebody for multiple hours is a huge benefit for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, grateful for having you on our board, Raymond, for that very unique blessing and privilege that you provide for us. So you think the games that we'll see at the showcase, are they going to be any good, or what you thinking?
No, they're all gonna be garbage. No, no, man. There's some. I think this year is probably some of the best crop of games that I've seen come out this, so far. Like, there's been a lot of good games I've been really impressed with. How quickly they've come together. The students don't really have a whole lot of time, and they're able to really pull out something that is pretty amazing. And for some students, it was like the first game they've ever made. And that's like, it's crazy how well the program works for enabling students to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fast-paced simulation, and some students keep on with their game year round and they come back to it, and for some folks this is just trial and error and they'll learn and reapply. But I mean, in comparison to your first game that you mentioned earlier, how we like it?
I think all of those games are better than my first game. That like way better than the first game I made, right? Yeah, like no, like there's no comparison. Like, first thing I made didn't even have a start screen, like right. So yeah, no, the students are super talented, super talented artists on the individual teams, and I didn't even have art in my game. It was all programmer art, so like you can't even compare.
Right, I see. Well, that's dope. Seeing development of games and just following through and keeping up with it. For some viewers today, this is the first time ever hearing about Gameheads. I know, shocker, but how would you describe the games that we make at Gameheads?
Oh, for me, I think the number one thing that always surprises me and sets them apart is that every game has something to say, and it's saying something that's meaningful to the people that made it. It's actually, they have a voice. It isn't just a game for the sake of being a game. They'll have a purpose and a message to send, and that's really what makes it even more special to see that the up and coming game creators will have a voice, and they have opinions, and they want the people to experience that.
Nice. Yeah, it's really inspiring to see the passion that these students bring into their games. Storytelling of their own culture and their own communities. And I mean, we have young perspectives, people of color, marginalized youth. Yeah,
Yeah.
very different. What drove you, gravitated you towards Gameheads 4 years ago?
I think it was the main thing was, I've been in the industry for a long time. I look around and I'm still the only engineer, Black engineer, even in some cases, person of color at all engineer, right? And in some cases, the only person of color at all in the building, right? And I just got tired of it, and I was like, okay, I think I'm at the point in my career where I think I have something to give back, and I think I can, right? And I reached out to some folks I know, Marcus and Lizette, and they hooked me up, and they were like, hey, maybe you come in and help. How about this thing? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And much smaller situation back then, and just I just kind of immediately saw like what it could be and what direction it could go. And like, hey, let me get involved more, and I want to help out more, and maybe this is one way that we can shift some of those attitudes and the numbers that we see in the industry.
Nice. No, thank you. Absolutely. I actually didn't know that you were recommended by Lisette and Marcus.
Yeah.
I wasn't here when all the board members,
Yeah, I've known Marcus and Lizette for like a long time, so like long before Gameheads.
Yeah. For anybody who's in the industry, thinking about if they're ready to get back, what would you tell them?
Say that again. What?
For any professional industry folks out there who
Yeah.
they're hesitating on volunteering or
Oh man.
we'll tell them some.
No man, just whatever time you can spare, and if it's not time that you can spare, if you can spare money, do that too. You know what I mean? Just if you're about helping out and wanting to give back to your community, find the way in which works for you to do it. Yeah. So don't wait. Go out there and look for the opportunities.
Sounds good. There you have it. Raymond Graham himself, straight out of Unity. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your time, Raymond. Stay tuned for the next upcoming interviews and enjoy the rest of the showcase. Bye, everyone. Say bye, Raymond.
Au revoir. Later.
Some are mentors, some are Gameheads friends. My name is Zoram. But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. So we'll go Brian, Gord, and then Hesse.
Sure. I'm Brian Mullen. He, him are my pronouns. I'm a lead lighting artist at Insomniac Games, and my mentee is Zamira.
All right.
Great. I was next. I am Gordon Mcgladrey. He, him. I am the studio director at A Shell in the Pit. We're a mostly audio studio in Vancouver. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Ezekiel Mendez. I go by Hesse. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a game developer at Tenderclaws, a VR game studio, and I was a speaker at Gameheads.
Nice. Thank you all for making time for this interview. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being involved in Gameheads. But let's start with Brian. Tell me about your mentee. Zamira, what game was she making? What's she up to, and how'd that go for you?
Yeah, so Zamira's on the Dreamers project, and she's been doing some artwork on it. Getting started kind of in the whole digital thing. So Zamira had a pretty strong background, just doing art, seemed to really like it, and has been trying to learn how to move some of that into doing it digitally and how to do it for a game project. So I've been trying to give some suggestions, kind of how to take that traditional art background and start applying it to doing, drawing on a tablet and getting into, some light color theory and perspective and, the kind of things that, sort of like the building blocks that the same stuff you would do when you're drawing and painting, but, how you apply it to doing digital stuff and how it works for a game. And yeah, the project's really cool. It's yeah, like a character trying to take down chores and homework and stuff like that. So it seemed pretty fun. I played the build the other day. It was super solid. Like got through the whole thing. Didn't like no crashes or anything. Like it was easy to understand what I needed to do. It showed a lot of promise. So it was pretty cool.
Nice. So those who are in person to showcase should have a decent time playing their game, right?
Yeah.
All right, lovely. What about you, Gordon? Tell me about your mentor experience.
Yeah, my mentee is Jonathan. He is doing, I think, kind of project lead, but also the sound on I can't remember what it was called, but it's a sort of Zelda-like game where you run around and you throw boxes at these boars and robots that are shooting lasers at you. And so far it's going great. Jonathan seems to have like very, very little background in sound, so it's been fun to go over the very basic fundamentals. It's always kind of neat to do that, because when you've been doing it for a long time, you tend to forget a few. So when you're actually going back and redoing the very basic fundamentals, you almost kind of relearn a few things yourself.
Nice.
So we've been going over software like Reaper, FL Studio, just how to make perfect loops and how to spec out what sounds should be going in a game, things like that.
I see. Yeah, I mean, making loops is always a tough one at first hand if you don't have experience with sound. So, yeah, nice review going around the fundamentals of sound implementation. And do you remember any troubles that you had when you first made your first sound, your first scoring of a video game?
It'd be a long time ago. I mean, tons. You're constantly improving, right? So there's still things I don't like about my mixes that I'm still working on. Yeah, and for me, a lot of it's about like the relationships with the developer and how to make sure balancing that line to getting it where you like it and they like it, because sometimes those aren't the same thing. And yeah, like one of my first games was Rogue Legacy, just out of like pure fluke. And we didn't have middleware or anything. We were using XNA, which was part of, and so then the middleware for that was Exact, and there was no documentation for it, so we're just kind of making things up.
I see.
So it was tough, but it went well. The game did fine.
Okay. Wow, good to hear. A little throwback for y'all. Essie, what about yourself? How were you involved with the lecture? What were you lecturing us about at Gameheads?
Yeah. So the lecture was like a month and something ago. It was about culture specific mechanics, and it was fun. It was interesting. I basically, that was my thesis, and that was a really nice talk I gave, and it was interesting because in that day the topic of the day, I guess, was about indie games, and they watched the indie game movie. So that was really cool to come in as also indie developers, and I got some questions about that, and it was quite interesting to see their perspective on what like the movie showed and what other people may experience as well while being in the indie world. So overall, I think it went well. The lecture was also pretty cool, and people had questions on how to implement it in if I've ever implemented it in some of the personal projects or professionally. So yeah, so it was fun.
Well, thank you for all of your efforts. Absolutely, we need this in the industry, and Gameheads appreciates it. Tell me about well, when it comes to anyone can answer this, or feel free to jump in. But when it comes to developing games, I mean, we have an artist in here, a sound designer, like a game designer. What comes first? Like, what decisions need to be made before someone can make music, or someone could program or animate?
We're last. Not necessarily always ideal, but I think organically that is usually how it works. There may be like sound focused games where music is the real backbone, but personally, I think the design needs to be there first. It's so genre dependent, right? Like if it's a narrative game, then you might want the narrative first, and then the design has to work around that. But usually, like, we want to see something, so art often comes before sound as well, because we take a lot of inspiration from the visual design.
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, a lot of times we want to see design and layout sort of done before we're getting too involved, because a lot of our work, ends up, it's like we're layering work on top of a layout that's already done. That said, like, we don't like to think of lighting. It's like a post department necessarily, because then it seems like something that we're just sort of waiting until the end to get involved. And that's not really what we want to do. We want to kind of be there throughout. Lighting can play a pretty big role in helping with a lot of design choices and helping with player guidance and mood and those kinds of things. So we don't necessarily want to wait to the end, but we have to kind of think about how we approach our work in the early stages and middle stages. And then we get into that polish sort of at the end.
Right. So totally agree. I think from my perspective is a lot of planning, a lot of writing, getting to understand what your goals are. I think having goals set, and then more than actual, either mechanics or any of those, narrative. I think having a goal of what the experience might be and might look like, I think comes like very first to actually then collaborate with everyone else to actually make that happen, make those whole goals and those emotions, those feelings actually happen, right? So I think planning those out throughout, and then iterating on them as well, right? So it's a lot of iteration, and being comfortable with that. But yes, definitely, I think figuring out what your goals are.
Okay, well, thank you. I mean, yeah, the students at Gameheads constantly are, like y'all said, it's genre specific, narrative or replayability. So they're always trying to figure out their pipeline and workflow when it comes to these things, and it's interesting and very insightful to see the students work out their own workflow and always holding each other accountable to their respective tasks. I guess it's a question for the mentors, and of course, Hesse, if you have anything to add on. But these students have been working on the games for 2 months. What should folks at the showcase or anyone who plays their games expect from these projects? I see. Go for it. Yeah, I saw both of you guys unmuted.
What I would say is, like last year when I played it, what I think I was most struck by was just like how solid everything was. Like I knew they would be prototypes. I knew they would be like a slice of the game and more like the promise of what a full game would end up being. But I was surprised by like how, like how much it sold that vision. It didn't feel like a small thing. I remember the mentee that I worked with last summer, their project like kind of blew me away at the end. I thought I liked playing it. I legitimately like played it several times through just because it was fun to play. I really liked the art style they were going for. The games that I played this year were showing a lot of the same kind of promise of, I don't have to put my imagination glasses on too much to kind of understand where this is going. I get where it's going. And I think I was also impressed by the understanding of scope, like not trying to do too much in order to kind of prove out what it is that you want to do. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, having not been to a showcase before, I can't speak to a broad array of projects. But I would echo a lot of the same things. I've noticed a very responsible view on scope. They aren't shooting for the moon on these first prototypes. I've been impressed by the art as well, and just that they don't seem broken. The games work, which is a greater feat than it sounds like.
So I have looked at a couple of them. Mainly because I also talked to some of the teams, and I think I was very impressed of like how polished they were with like the 2 months that they have, right? So it's not a lot of time, and they have a lot of like content in there. So I think that was to me very impressive, a very exciting, right? So that I think that's one of the awesome parts to look out for in the showcase.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The proof of concept is 5 minutes of gameplay is what these students developing professionals strive for. 5 minutes of gameplay, mechanics working, art styles, and making sure it works. And that's only because of the help of Mentor Madness, where all the mentors come in a little mad, and they basically give advice and give professional feedback of the games. But I mean, Brian, I saw you had a kid.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, yeah, a little youngling.
He's very good at sneaking.
Yeah. First day first day of first grade just wrapped up.
Oh, lovely. Can we talk a bit about like the resources the youth have these days versus what you may have had when you were starting your game dev career?
Yeah. I mean, it's the way to get into like the different software packages is a lot easier. Like I know when I was trying to get in, like Maya costs, I don't know how much it costs, but for the age that I was, it could have been $2 billion. Like it just was nothing that I was ever going to be able to pay for. But like you've got Blender out there now, which is like a legit program, and you can use it. You like there's game programs, or real-time programs you can get into without the barriers that I had whenever I was trying to get in. And there's just a lot of like online resources. Like there's places to learn that don't involve you having to go to some extremely expensive school. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I've noticed that seemed like we seem to be removing some of the barriers, I guess, that we had whenever I was starting.
Yeah, definitely making software is more accessible. Like they have student versions, so you're down for free. You won't get the whole shebang, but you'll get your hands on some experience. That's very important. Gordon, I see you're unmuted. You have something to say?
Yeah, we've had almost the exact same analog from Pro Tools to Reaper happen. Like that Brian has seen from Maya to Blender. Reaper's, it's not open source, but it has that kind of feel. You can write your own scripts for it. It's extremely affordable. It basically it runs off the honor system. Like you can use it forever without paying if you're not making money. And they just trust you. But that's what our entire team uses almost. There's a couple Pro Tools holdouts, but one of them is, I think, being won over right now because he has to do some dialogue editing, and Reaper's just simply better for it. And yeah, the community has been a huge thing because the indie game community in Vancouver was very good 10 years ago, but that was extremely unique, almost worldwide at that time. And seeing these communities kind of grow in different places all over the world in as great or greater strength than what we have here has been really, really good. And again, like, yeah, all of it is about breaking down barriers and sharing information and taking more of a blue ocean approach to things. The game audio community is one of the most kind of collaborative, mutually supportive communities in like the world. I swear, it's really great.
Just a friendly community that wants to help each other grow and develop. Nice.
Yeah, it's shockingly non-competitive.
Interesting.
In my case, I actually remember when Unreal became free. That was like 2017, 16. And that was really awesome. Like I was in community college back then. They became free, and I was like, I tried to download it, and then I was like, this is a lot, right? So I closed it right away. But having that access, right, having access towards the tools, Unity was already free. So a lot of like engines, like that are used in the industry, throughout the industry, are free, right? So I think a lot of that, and then as well with like YouTube, there's a ton of YouTube tutorials, right, which makes it a lot easier. And I think one of the things that I often tell my students is that like everything in the internet, it's actual, like you will learn everything in the internet. And one of the things that I like Gore said, I didn't have to go through a whole game course. I did it, and it was, I'm super grateful for it. But I think like people should be able to just get into whatever job industry without it, right? And I think that definitely it's very very visible within the games, and it's trying to become more accessible for sure. And I think programs like this that allow for the knowledge to be spread as well, it's definitely useful and helpful.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Like, when was the first time the first time you open a software and just be exposed to it? Like maybe your 6-year-old or your first grader, Brian, like they have access to Scratch or Mario level editor or Little Big Planet level editor, and that just opens up your brain into a whole new world. Because a lot of folks, they don't really realize that gaming, the game tech industry is, an actual legit career. So yeah, the world is changing. Let's evolve with it. Right. Yeah. My next question is, how does Gameheads, I don't know, having programs like Gameheads or Gameheads specifically help the industry? Whoever wants to jump in, go for it.
I can jump on that. Just from what it's a really big challenge for us as a company to find underrepresented people to hire, because they aren't getting because they're coming from less privileged places. They can't afford to go to the schools. They can't afford to buy the tools to get their chops up to where they're viable for a position. So things like this give people a leg up, because a lot of the time, yeah, the resources are available online, but even knowing where to look and what to look for is still a bit of a barrier. It's not like a discrete, explicit barrier, but it's there because you need to talk to somebody that can be like, here's a list of things you should know. And for sound design, it's like, you need to go check out Wise, you need to check out Fmod, you need to learn how to use version management, sort of. Well enough to not delete other people's work. And that is information that is kind of hard to stumble across. It has to be directly fired at you, and to know like what exactly do you need, because there is a lot of in audio specifically, there's just like a lot of gear lust stuff online that is like, oh, well, if you're using that, you'll never make a quality product, and that's just all bullshit. Like you can make great sound for a game with Reaper, a laptop, a fairly cheap handheld recorder, and a microphone, and you can do great work with that. I did Rogue Legacy on that or less.
The one thing that I picked up a lot last year and picking up again this year that I've been a big fan of with this program is the way that all of the students, at least with the projects that I've seen, are really doing a good job working together and understand like the different disciplines and how they bounce their ideas off of each other and implement their ideas together. Like one of the things when I was in school learning about this stuff, it was all like hard skill, this is how you use this software, this is how you do this thing. And it wasn't until I got a job that I learned how to actually work with people and like how to work with different personality types and how to actually like request a thing that I need to get done, or like how to deal with somebody requesting something of me. And when I see the program and the way that the students talk to each other and communicate, it's like, it's one of those things I don't think that I'd ever realized was how important until I'd actually gotten a job that I was like, I sure wish this is something I had learned about, because it would have helped me a lot in my first couple of years. So yeah, I've been super impressed with that part of the program.
It's funny how everybody hates group projects in school, but then you find out that that's all of life for the most part.
That's all awesome. Yeah. So so one of the things that I actually have looked for, and the reason I found you, because here in LA, there's not something like it. And I grew up here in LA. And I was like, I didn't know about, the games is a career, like overall, because growing up, like playing games, I remember my family like, oh, you're drying up your brain and all this stuff. So it became like, it was a taboo to be part of like the game stuff. So that to me was like a stopping point of like, like I didn't consider it as a career all the way up to into community college, where a professor, kind of, maybe one of the assignments was to make a game. And I was like, and I started wondering, is this a thing that, that I can live off? So that itself, like not knowing that it was a career, it was a big hurdle. Like, and I think programs like this allow, exposure, allows, to let other people know that this is very accessible. There's very, that it is a job and you can get paid by doing this, right? I think that was the main the first one, right? because a lot of us, we have a passion for games and we actually want to make them, but we don't know how, right? So we just skip it and we're like, okay, we should do another thing. So that I think that's the first one, the main one of the first reasons that this is an awesome project. And then I remember in undergrad in Santa Cruz, the reason I heard about y'all and I started to just dig a bit deeper, dig a bit deeper into like what y'all do, was because the whole, you know, having access to other people like you, right? Like I didn't see many people in the school that looked like me studying the same thing, right? So that was one of the big things that I was like, how do I explain, you know, a friend that I want to do this cultural thing, and then they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? So that was a big one for me, which was the reason I started to get more in touch with Gameheads. So having all those, you know, uh, cultural similarities along, you know, within one space or along each other, I think it also becomes a big, you know, upgrowing of what the culture is, right? Having all the knowledge and being together, I think it definitely helps. So I think Gameheads, it's a has been a really awesome space to make that happen, right? Like having, you know, your teammates looking like you and understanding what you're trying to make, because that thing that you all understand, right? It's something that you want to make. So I think that has definitely been one of the like a few reasons I started also getting into more of that. So yeah.
Wow, thank you. Well said, everybody. Inspiring, and it's reassuring to hear professionals who are getting paid to do what these students want to do, you know, talk good about the program, and it just shows that, you know, we're doing things right and we should keep on doing what we're doing and not lose momentum. So thank you. Thank you, and the students need to hear this. And not only the students, but all those who are thinking about pursuing game dev, no matter how old you are, where you're raised. And yeah, and with that, I would just close it off and thank you for being part of this interview. I hope you enjoy the rest of the showcase. And yeah.
And on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us,
Yeah.
Soren.
All right, smile and wave, boys. Hey. So I am here with our very own Lisette, who, you know, been around for some time. And yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, Lisette.
Hello, I'm Lisette, teacher in Montgomery, and I'm the art director on Psychonauts 2, and I'm also a board member on Gameheads.
Nice. And how long have you been a board member at Gameheads?
From the beginning, so I think we're over 7 years now.
I didn't know
It's been
that. Yeah,
quite some
wow.
time.
From the get-go. I did not know that actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said you work on Psychonauts 2, right?
Mhm.
But prior to that, you know, when and or how did you realize that pursuing game career in game dev was plausible? It's something that I've been asking all of our folks, you know, because I think it's interesting because we've had folks start off as swimming teachers and lecturers. So yeah, how did you find out that this career was for you?
I think I, like many people, stumbled my way into gaming by accident. Um, I really was focused on getting a job in films. You know, I had the dream of becoming a Pixar artist and animator. So I went to college for computer animation. And so I developed my skills as a character artist or a character designer at that time. And I moved to California right after school with 2 suitcases and a PC I built myself, hoping I could find a job. And actually, the first job I got was in games at a small studio called Page 44, and I immediately fell in love with it from there. It really kind of captured my attention in a way that I wasn't expecting. I grew up playing games, but I just didn't think about how important interactivity was when it came to creating content.
Nice. And now you are full-fledged professional at Double Fine. Hell yeah. Love to see it. Did you always work as the art director at Double Fine?
Yeah, my role has been art director at Double Fine. Yes.
Okay, and so what does that entail? Do you just do everything and anything art in terms of managing the team, or?
Yeah, art directing role at a studio like Double Fine requires a lot of collaborative work. So it's less focused on doing the bulk of the artwork and more focused on handling the process, particularly making sure that all the art in the pipeline that comes together works together, and that all the systems and pipelines in place are going to come together really well. So it's looking at the moment to moment and how the art works and managing the team that puts that work together.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, Double Fine, I'm sure there's a lot of folks, and it sounds like a lot of work. A lot of branches to moderate, and I can't even imagine.
I like to say I have a lot of cats to herd. Herded cats. They like to climb up walls, and sometimes you gotta pull them off the tree.
I see that because a lot of artists are perfectionists, and sometimes you just need to publish and push, and
or they just go off the rails and climb the tree. But that's sometimes you find good things in trees, so you got to kind of create a structure where people can express themselves.
Of course, a nice, comfortable working environment. And sometimes cats do get stuck in trees. So interesting. Okay, interesting. So Psychonauts 1 versus Psychonauts 2. What should we be expecting from this new project?
Psychonauts 1 had a really beautiful story and a rich visual legacy. And I think those are the same things you're going to find in Psychonauts 2. But we've really kind of pushed the visual elements of the game really far. The first game came out 16 years ago. So there's a lot of new technical advancements that we were able to take advantage of in Psychonauts 2. For example, every single brain level you play is completely different from the other one. And we use a lot of intensive visual effects and lighting and pushing the graphics as much as we can to give you that sense of dream space. So for us, you should really expect what you love from Psychonauts 1, but done better and a little bit more advanced in Psychonauts 2.
I mean, yeah, based off of the trailer alone, you can just see the difference, and you kind of just feel the gameplay from the trailers. The art styles are completely updated and a lot smoother from what I could see. And yeah, definitely excited. I recently bought Psychonauts 1 for $1 off of Steam because, and I plan on probably even streaming that and then playing Psychonauts 2. So something I look forward to, seeing our work from the set. Heck yeah. And so you've been in the industry, you've been working at Double Fine for, you said 4+ years?
4 years, it'll be 4 years this week.
4 years this week. And you've been a board member for 7 years. And how long have you been in the tech industry?
I've been in the game industry for 20 years.
For 20 years. All right. One of our noobs at Gameheads, his name is Jordan Dabney. He actually asked me to ask you a question as to how do you lead by example when decolonizing game development?
I think primarily our focus, at least my focus when I'm on a team, is making sure that everyone is represented in the story or in the characters or in the cultures that are there, and trying to be authentic as possible. So I don't see it as decolonizing, which is like taking away. What I'm really looking for is to make sure that we're adding authenticity, whether that is how a character's story is represented and giving feedback on that, how a character's design looks, like do we have enough inclusive hairstyles to make sure that I can make myself in your character creator, not just a certain subset of people. So I think it's less about taking away the whiteness, because I think when you say decolonizing, people hear that, but what it really is making sure we're adding authenticity and adding ourselves in the game from the beginning, because you want to be culture. You can't learn culture. You have to grow in it. And when you are in a game, we can't teach you the culture of someone's, background, but you can grow to understand their culture if you build it authentically in the game. So I think that is an important way to approach it. I think decolonizing is a fun term that people, I think, are popular, but really what we're doing is sharing and promoting our culture.
I see. Can you repeat that? You said you can't learn culture,
You can't learn culture, you have to grow in it.
Interesting. I like that. I think I'm going to live by that and, start spreading that word. No, I love it. Making inclusive teaching and just living together through this medium of video games. Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Lisette was recently featured on CNN. The title of the feature was called Breaking Barriers for Women in Gaming. Right off the bat, I want to ask you, how does it feel to be recognized as essentially a pioneer in this industry?
It's a little surreal. I've been doing this for so long. When people discover you, it feels like I've been here for a while. Where you been? I've been doing this
Right?
for a long time. So I think it's really good exposure. And I think it's important that people recognize the work that I'm doing is important, because I do think not being able to see yourself in the games you play is a serious problem. I think there are going to be millions of new players who come online from Latin American, African, Indian, Asian countries, who are not seeing themselves reflected in the game they play. And I think it's going to affect how sticky games are in the future. Like, if you don't feel like you can emotionally or culturally attach to something, why would you play it again and again and again? So I think those challenges are really coming forth for the industry. So it's a really good time for people like me to take leadership roles, because we have to start creating content that relates to different kinds of people.
Yeah, I mean, bring up a great point. Just as a youngster, seeing yourself in these media like video games, film, it kind of like makes something click in your brain that what is possible. Seeing yourself represented. So it's the work you're doing is absolutely necessary. And yeah, they definitely did lag on, acknowledging you and giving you your spotlight. Absolutely. In the feature, you talked about how there's a lack of women in video game development. What would you tell anybody who is suffering from imposter syndrome or just feeling like they don't belong in their work environment?
I would say oftentimes that feeling is not you. Like, when I've been in situations where I just don't feel like I fit, it's because the people around me aren't the right people for me. And I think it's important to find and understand that distinction. And it's also important to understand that sometimes that imposter syndrome are the mean version of you in your head. And it sometimes helps to think about that person as a different entity. Just because, I mean, we've all been struggling with mental health, especially during the pandemic, and depression, and imposter syndrome definitely is sort of a side effect of suffering through isolation. So it's important to kind of gain perspective on where you are and what context you're in. And also important to understand, like, what's the difference between my actual skills and my own insecurities. And I think that that's, all challenging for anyone to do, including me, and especially artists, because we're perfectionists. But at the end of the day, just be kind to yourself. And if you focus on the work and your skills, you'll get there.
No, yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about it like that. Like, it's a lot of it is internalized oppression from the work environment, and just kind of being able to step back and analyze yourself. I mean, yeah, that's how it should be done.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to realize that, or like, is it a work in progress, or how
I
does?
think for me, it's a constant work in progress.
Mhm.
It kind of really hit home when I was watching Miyazaki's last film. He did his, came out of retirement and he did a film, and they did a whole documentary on him making his last film. And this is like Miyazaki, the guy who started Studio Ghibli. He's done all these amazing things. And through the whole film, he is just like ripping himself a new one. He's just doubting himself and tearing, I don't know if I have it in me. I'm just terrible. I mean, he's really just not kind, right? And this is Miyazaki. And it's just really made me realize that this is just part of the artist condition, particularly, that we are perfectionists and we want things to be a specific way. And sometimes skill and time doesn't come together the way we want. And we can be very unkind to ourselves. So it's in those moments that it's important to remember, just do the work and push through and be nice to yourself and others.
Absolutely. And there y'all have it. Lisette. Straight from, where are you from, Lisette?
Right now, I'm in Oakland.
Okay, straight out of Oakland.
Yeah, I'm out of Oakland, but I grew up in Florida.
Florida, okay.
I grew up in South Florida. My family's from Aruba, so I'm very international.
Wow. The more you know. You know what? Going back to that video from CNN, there was like an Easter egg, I want to say, or a spoiler, where you basically were wearing the outfit of a character, and then they showed the character, and it was basically the same entity. How did that come to be?
It's interesting that you say that, because Hollis is one of the characters in the new game that I relate to. She's like a leader in the organization, and she works with a lot of the new recruits, and so I always identified with her. And I don't know if the character designer Scott Campbell like kind of low key was inspired by me or not, but I was inspired by her. And when CNN wanted to feature me, they asked me which character that I really identified with, and I said her. And then I quickly found an outfit online that would match it, and so we did that shot, and it looked really great. It was a really nice visual transition. So Hollis is definitely one of the newer players that I think is really great in Psychonauts 2, and I hope people enjoy her story.
Interesting. So even if there isn't like a conscious effort to diversify the game, like there's a subconscious effort. Like you have your team who is people of color working together, you're inspiring them, they're inspiring you, and then that inspires the game. Huh, interesting. I didn't know what to expect from this answer, but I love it. Other than that, I mean, so you've been at Gameheads for 7 years. I mean, what do you hope from all of the aspiring talent at Gameheads?
I've been really just taken aback by how talented and dedicated the students at Gameheads are. I wouldn't have, I really hoped, and I didn't, and I dreamed, but I can't believe that some of these guys are really getting hired into the best studios in the country and the world. And I think this is just the beginning. I think this little trickle is going to turn into a river and then a flood. And then hopefully an ocean of us who are all making games in our own vision and with our own voice. I think that is the ultimate goal. I think at the end of the day, Gameheads and owning a studio where we make our own content is the real goal, not just working for people.
Yeah, definitely come a long way. Students getting hired. I counted them the other day because I'm working with them. We have like 20 plus folks interning, working at part-time. And it's not for forcing these companies to hire us, right?
No, I mean, they need us more than we need them. I'm going to say that straight out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're making opportunities, it's amazing how far we've come and how far we will go. For all the folks at the showcase or anybody who will download the games from itch.io, what should they expect from these student projects?
I would expect some definitely original content and ideas. We encourage our students to create things in their voice because it is vital to our industry to have new visions and new stories. And I think they're going to really understand and experience what it's like to make a game for the first time for the people who are playing some of the noobs games. And they're also going to see some of our more veteran students and how their skills have grown. So I'm really excited to see what people have put together for the showcase. I think you'll be impressed by the range of ideas that you'll see and the range of skills across the games that you will see as well.
Lovely. Thank you, Lisette, for this conversation. That was my last question, and I miss talking to you, and hopefully when COVID is not existent or whatever constrained, we could be back into space collaborating.
Yeah, I can't wait till we're all together, and once we have our first party back together, I'm definitely bringing a whole lot of jerk chicken.
Oh wow, there we go. Missed that too. All right, thank you, Lisette. Just wave to the camera, and yeah, bye everybody. Enjoy the showcase. Yo, how's it going? I'm here with another interview. My name is Zoram, but go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
Yeah, my name is Nenad. I'm a technical artist at Self-Aware Games, which is part of Big Fish Games in Oakland studio.
Nice, located in Oakland. Love it. All right, so something I've been asking everybody is why and what made you realize that you could pursue a career in video games?
Yeah, so many moons ago, before I even started working for any company, I played games occasionally in my free time, but it never occurred to me that this is something you can make a career out of. And I remember back at the time when first popular like iPhone games started coming out, like Angry Birds and similar. I was working as a freelancer, and I was making vector graphics for web and mobile. And one of my clients was a game developer working on a match 3 type of mobile game. And my task was to make these cute tiny characters that would be used in the game. And I thought it was super fun and exciting. And after that project, I started discovering all these little different gaming communities and
I started looking into game development forums and art for games, and everything seemed so interesting. And I knew that eventually this is something I wanted to do full time.
Nice, lovely, absolutely. We'll get to you playing video games in a bit, but before we do, can you talk about your role and what being a tech artist means?
Sure. So the role of the technical artist is to bridge the gap between the issues of the creative teams and engineering teams in game development. They need to have a solid understanding and knowledge about both disciplines, and they need to ensure that all needs are being met. And because of this, they tend to be all rounders with experience working in artistic, discipline, but also programming realms. So depending on the game studio, some of the tech art responsibilities would be perhaps researching and developing various tools for a project, or supporting artists and engineers in the pipeline. Or you could be solving complex technical issues during development, or porting finished art to the game engine, and so on. So lots of different things depending on the studio.
Nice, kind of like a middleman. I love it. Kind of
Yeah.
glue the team together and just
Hmm.
hovering around. Okay, lovely. That's dope. I didn't know that. So you say you were a freelancer before you were a developer, like a full-time developer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember this was a long time ago. Some of my um, first projects were just poking around and working with vector graphics, and I used to design websites and everything from business cards to little posters and such. So those were some of the first um, kind of areas I poked around in.
How about your first like video game? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so some of my first solo projects outside of work, I would say, were just following different documentation and videos online. And it was mostly learning how to navigate around gaming engines and how to write scripts and move characters around. And it mostly taught me the research skills and how to search for solutions.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah,
some foundational ground skills that you built there.
yeah.
And I mean, so you played video games as a youngster, and one
Mhm.
day it clicked that you could make a career. But what kind of impact did video games have? For a lot of folks, it's like an escape, or it serves as a
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
I think definitely had a lot of positive impact, in my life. Playing video games with friends is definitely an instant dopamine booster for me, and it was especially now during a pandemic, it helps me to keep in touch with people in a different way. Games can sometimes be an escape from monotonous life for me. I love getting wrapped up in the story or discovering the aesthetics of the game, and I appreciate the craft needed to bring this fantasy world to life. And it is the easiest way to meet friends too. And you could join, one of the thousands of different communities on social media platforms such as Discord, or they're all dedicated to various games. You could be into chess, or you could be into battle royale type of game. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely understand that. I'm not the biggest competitive gamer. And I do like social gaming. Like I enjoy gaming when it's with friends or other folks I can talk to and troll and mess around with. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
But for those of you who don't know, Big Fish was our very first sponsor back in like 2015 or 2016, way back when. And it was huge for us because we were just getting our momentum, our name out there, and you know, just getting some funding, which is a big step for nonprofits and their early initiatives. But why does Big Fish sponsor us, or why is it important for companies to do so?
Yeah. If companies want to get serious about diversity and inclusion, and not just have them as a clever HR recruiting buzzwords on the wall somewhere in the office, you need to start investing in programs such as Gameheads ASAP. Lots of diversity programs, they either tend to fail or the progress is very slow. And to solve that, we need to start digging into the roots. And it is very important to foster innovation in young talent in underrepresented communities. And it starts here by providing them with necessary resources.
Yeah, and not only Gameheads, but other organizations as well.
Yeah. regardless what company it is, it doesn't have to be gaming. We need to definitely start digging into those roots.
Yeah, I mean, with technology, it's hard because a lot of parents of students of color don't understand technology and where games could take us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the more funding, the more we could get that message across, and faster. Absolutely. So what I mean, you've been in the tech industry for how long?
Well, over 8 years, I believe, something like that. A
Eight
little more.
years.
Mhm.
And in any of that time, or maybe today, did you ever feel like you did not belong in the tech or video game industry, due to the work environment or just I don't know, just anything?
Absolutely, yeah. In the past, on top of being an immigrant, I immigrated from Serbia, moved here in the Bay Area, and on top of that, I had this imposter syndrome, which is this horrible thing that makes you feel like a fraud. It makes you doubt your abilities. And I used to think about my accent. My English wasn't perfect. I used to, first of all, I grew up in poverty, and right off the bat, I didn't have access to any tools and resources that would help me to get the skills necessary for tech industry, and I really had to work hard for that. But I think they made me even stronger and resilient, and I brought my authentic self to work, and I joined online communities. I focused myself on learning skills that have built a lot more confidence. In general, if you're unsettled by the lack of diversity, if you you can become an advocate for it. You can try and push your organization, your leaders to prioritize it if they aren't already. If they are, get involved with those efforts. And the diversity inclusion isn't something just for women or people of color to be involved in. It's for everyone. Everyone should be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Making sure we get everybody's perspectives and implement them into our projects.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, popular media, pop culture reciprocates back into society and back and forth. So if we're included, then it's more healthy and more accessible.
Yeah.
Do you still struggle with imposter syndrome today, or has that kind of?
I think right now, yeah, as the time has passed, I definitely don't feel that way. I've definitely worked on my confidence more and focused more on my skills and learning than just worrying about that.
Okay, just doing you and keeping focus.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice. Um, I guess one of my last questions is, what motivating words do you have to our students or anybody aspiring to be a game developer?
Yeah, I think just dive into it. Learn a skill, a programming language or software and build something and rinse and repeat. Start making things ASAP. If you're a student and if you already joined this program such as Gameheads, you're already on the right track. To anyone, if you're looking to start your career and work in a gaming company, or you might want to just be an independent developer and make your own games, you're in luck because the best game development tech and resources are now free and they're available to anyone. You need a computer and an internet access, that's all. So that wasn't really the case 10, 15 years ago. And I think gaming industry it's obviously an entertainment industry. And so unleash your creative minds. You don't even have to know how to code. There are diverse careers in gaming to choose from. If you're looking to make art, you could be an illustrator. If you're if you like sound production, you can make sound effects. If you're interested in doing animation or graphic design or data science, if you're a good storyteller, you could be a writer. So there's plenty opportunities out there, and now more than ever, creative skills are in demand. So you could start your career in one direction, but later on, you discover that you like something else, and that's fine. Stay committed, join communities, connect with like-minded people, and most importantly, have fun.
Sweet, thank you. And there you got it, straight from Big Fish Nanad's technical artist. And huge shout out to Big Fish for being there since the beginning of Gamehead's origin stories. Really helped us out, get us up on our feet back then. And we appreciate your commitment and persistent, initiatives and dedication to our movements. Um,
Absolutely.
and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye, y'all. Enjoy the rest of the showcase.
Hello, 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 everybody. So, Thank you to our viewers. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our mentors, but mostly thank you to the young people for showing up over the summer and over the last year. Y'all inspire us to keep our heads up and keep working towards a tech industry that represents communities of color, provides opportunities for our communities, and turns out sick games that tell stories that actually matter to us. Now, keeping our program running over the last year was, in a word, a challenge, but we got a lot done. We moved our programming online and opened it up to more students to meet, frankly, an overwhelming demand. Now, we partnered with game industry leaders, many of which are in the virtual room today, to provide new programs, opportunities, and mentorship to our students. And we were able to integrate mental health services, life skills workshops, and more wraparound supports into existing Gameheads programming. We are grateful for the opportunity to work with these young people who, with their diverse backgrounds and experiences, represent smart, necessary talent and perspective the tech industry needs. But today, most of all, we are excited to show off these games. Today, you'll see games about procrastinating, about Mexican identities and cultures. There'll be sideshows, dodgeball games, beat 'em ups, corrupted coworkers, cake, and more. Now, stick with us for the next few hours, and you'll get a glimpse of the future of the video game and tech industries. So without further ado, we're going to get on with the show. See you guys in a minute.
Hey, Van, hold on one second. Let me just.
Are you in the woods?
Yeah, dude. I took the weekend off to Yosemite. Have you been?
Dude, the showcase is about to start. Are you going to be here on time?
Shoot, that's today.
Yeah, man. I sent you a calendar invite. Who's going to intro your project if you're out there?
Well, ain't that what we're doing right now?
What?
Dude, I don't have signal here. So, like, I emailed you some dope clips before I left. You can sprinkle those throughout the show, you know?
Clips of what?
Newer Vibes podcast. What do you mean, what? You know, the trending, super popular podcast where we talk about Gamehead students and some mentors and their projects, the game industry, and culture at large, dude.
Is that why you locked yourself in a room all summer?
Yup. And yeah, man, we got full episodes at SoundCloud. You know, the account name is Gameheads Radio, and they're great.
So if I want to listen to full episodes of Newer Vibes of podcast, I should go to soundcloud.com/gameheadsradio.
Yep, exactly. But you know, I gotta go. Someone's stealing my marshmallows. It might be Chupacabra or Bigfoot. I mean, homies of mine. And yeah, good luck with the show, man. Stay socially safe, stay distant, wash your hands, all that good stuff. And yeah, bye. I love you.
Hello, my name is Jordan Tim. I am a Gameheads veteran, currently working on Crystal Dynamics QA, and it is my privilege to introduce to you today Ethan from Bacon Studios. All right, show them what you got, Ethan.
Hey everybody, I'm Ethan Jennings with the Game Project. Pitch Deck is a first-person game about reverting your corrupted coworkers back to their old forms by using power gauntlets. The core question behind this project is, how can we maintain a healthy workplace within a game studio? You might be asking, why is this question important? Why is this theme important? Well, in the video game industry, a lot of developers are put through things like crunch, which force them to live very unhealthy and just bad lifestyles as a whole, which can turn them into metaphorical monsters. I thought that it was really cool to explore that narrative, and it was really great to be able to put a bunch of metaphors into a game, jam-pack it all in, and just see how people react. Another question that you might be asking is, why must you, as the player, be the one to uncorrupt the workplace? Well, this feeds into the classic good guy, bad guy scenario, you know, where the endless cycle of developer pain has to be stopped, and why shouldn't you be the one to do it? Go figure. Another reason is that if you're corrupted, no one's going to give you your paycheck because you have to remember that you work at this company as well. And these are your coworkers, so you should probably save them. The game is a very, very standard game, you know, first person running around and whatnot, and the pitch deck part of it comes in because you're using essentially what is a deck on your wrist to be able to use these abilities to uncorrupt your workers and your coworkers. I thought this was really cool to explore and an amazing game mechanic to make, and I hope that you all enjoy it as well. With that being said, I thank you for listening in on my presentation.
Going back to late night snacking, which is Chidozi's game, what makes your game different?
I feel like what makes our game different is the way we integrated like each of our cultures into the game. There's a main feature of the game where like the other snacks that you're trying to collect, not the main one, but the ones that help you like with power boosts and stuff like that. They're all kind of directly linked to someone in our culture. Like one snack that we were ideating on for my culture was chin chin. It's like this Nigerian cookie. And that gives you a certain power up when you get into the game. I'll let you guys see that for yourself when it gets there. And it's a nice way to like, you know, give a shout out to everyone who incorporated into the game.
And so, you know, watching and seeing the dialogue between the different types of snacks and what it means to them made me start reflecting about, oh my gosh, when I grew up, what was the thing that connected with me and what do I look like? And so that's an awesome skill to have, is using a little bits of yourself into the game experience to connect with complete strangers.
Where did you look for inspiration and references for your projects?
Home. Because there's a part of the game, they were asking me to like, you know, give, you know, pieces of like art, you know, so they can incorporate it into like, you know, the game's main level, which is like a house. And so there's these like portraits that my mom got from her dad before he passed, and they're like pretty rare, and they're like hand carved wooden sculptures. And so, you know, I took pictures of that, sent it over to the artist. You know, we're gonna see what comes of that. So that's something that I was really into.
Nice. Literally just walking in the hallways of your house, inspiring your game.
Hey Gameheads, this is Bill Giese, design architect at Turn 10 Studios. It is my honor to introduce Team Tahine. I want to congratulate them for all the hard work that they've done over the summer and leave them with one of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Again, congratulations for all the hard work on the game. Go ahead and take it away.
Hello everybody, we're Team Tahine. I'm Abdu, the game designer and level designer.
I'm Phoebe, the environment artist.
I'm Yasu, I'm a programmer for Late Night Tech.
And I'm Jordan, I'm a game designer and narrative designer.
All right, so some of our team members aren't here today, but there's Chidozi, the sound designer, Matt, another programmer, and Adaya, another programmer.
The question we're trying to answer for this game is how can we show more inclusivity in the normal family unit? And the verb that captures our game is to sneak.
So to answer these prompts, the player plays as, you can go to the next slide. The player plays as Ann Amalgam, a young girl who sneaks through her house trying to get a delicious slice of cake that's waiting for her in her kitchen. In order to do this, though, she needs to sneak past her dad. And along the way, there are hiding spaces. She can hide in furniture and snacks that her siblings have left around that give her powers to allow her to sneak past her dad. Next up, I'll be talking about the pitch. On paper, it's a 2D stealth game, but it's really supposed to feel like you're James Bond if James Bond were a black girl trying to get cake. Anyone who has gotten up in the middle of the night and tried to get a snack with no one noticing, this game is definitely for you. The real centerpiece of the game, though, is hiding spaces, and that's what our next slide will elaborate on. I actually wrote a poem about it. It goes, late night snacking emphasizes stealth. Hiding spaces occupy its soul. Players take no damage, have no health, but fear may all the same start taking hold. When players undiscovered garner pride, and parents wonder where their daughter went, the player that, in lapse, forgets to hide, leaves Anna being chased without relent. The refuge that these hiding spaces give can make our game a little less adverse. While there's no threat that Amalgam lives, being sent to bed is far, far worse. When Anna's father catches her in stride, the greatest tool you have is space to hide. A glowing sonnet for our hiding spaces which glow within the game and help keep you away from the AI, which Iyasu will talk about next.
Yes, the parent enemy AI goes through 3 different alert stages, depending on what the player is doing, starting from patrolling the house, to investigating any loud noises, and finally to actually hunting the player.
Anna and all of her siblings are adopted from all over the world, so we wanted the snacks in this game to represent that. There are snacks that you will find in, say, CVS or Safeway in America, but also snacks from African cultures, Asian cultures, and Native American cultures. Each color of the snacks represents their power-up. Red snacks affect the player's speed, green snacks affect how much noise they make, and blue snacks affect their visibility.
So at the end of the day, we'll leave you with one question. Are you hungry? This was Team Tahim with Late Night Snacking. Thank you for listening.
What's up, Gameheads? My name is Clay Carmouche. I'm a narrative director at Xbox Game Studios Publishing. We partner with studios around the world to help bring their vision to life and put it in front of the largest audience possible. So we're always on the lookout for new voices, new stories, and we want to create games that don't ignore the experiences of all of our players, which is why we're so excited by the Gameheads mission and by the work that all of you are doing. I've been lucky enough to work alongside some of your former students. Shout out Juan, shout out Casey. So I've seen that you have the skills needed to thrive, but you're also prepared to meet the challenges of an industry that doesn't always welcome outside voices. We need you. We need you at Xbox. The entire industry needs you. We need more unique voices and perspectives that are missing from the games we see today. So I encourage you, please don't stop. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing through the gates. I'm so excited for the careers ahead of all of you. I hope to be working with you soon. Congrats to the students, and thank you for letting me be a part of this showcase.
Hey everyone, I'm Casey Ramos, and I am a content writer at Xbox Publishing and lead narrative designer here at Gameheads. I wish I could be spending it there with y'all, but I'm so excited for this year's Gamehead Showcase, especially because I have the honor of introducing an incredible Gamehead Studio project that has been running their way through alpha and is now so close to hitting beta. Team the Grounds, show 'em what you got.
Hey everybody, we're Team Grounds. My name is Xavier. I'm the project manager and game designer.
My name is Javon Smith. I am the UI UX designer.
My name is Sabari Davis. I'm the artist and animator.
And then we have one more member of our team. His name is Yakub Herring. He's our programmer. He couldn't make it today.
All right, so I just want to start by talking about the art style for the grounds. It's largely inspired by the things we were into when we were growing up, which would be, like anime, fighting games, and JRPGs, things like that. And also just the culture and diversity that we see around California. As such, it allows me to have fun with the designs. Everything's like hand-drawn. So when I'm designing stages for the game, I try to take each landmark or area that we're looking at and create an amalgamation and bring everything together so it depicts everything about such a set place that you're playing in.
Some of the new features that are present in this build, we have our single player multiplayer, we have our arcade mode and survival mode, and we have a soundtrack produced by Odwin.
Yeah, so simply put, The Grounds is a 2D action dodgeball game set in the West Coast. We have people play, city to city, kind of showing off, trying to make sure they're the best. So I hope you guys all enjoy it and look out for it this fall. Bye. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jessica Chung. I'm currently an assistant technical producer at Hangar 13 and a student at Gameheads. And it is my pleasure to introduce one of the veteran teams at Gameheads, Team Slums. When I first heard about the game concept that these folks were working on, I was very impressed by their ambition and their creative vision. Once I got to see a little bit of the game that they've made over the summer, I was blown away, and frankly, I think you will be too. So, without much further ado, I present to you Team Slums.
Oh, hey guys, we are Team Slums, so this is our game Mind Dungeon. I'm here and introduce the team. I'm Kevin. I'm the lead artist. I'm the lead artist, and
I'm Daniel Madrano. I'm the game designer and programmer.
I'm Omar Quintanilla, co-programmer.
The rest of our team isn't here, but we have excellent 3D artists, sound design, and a project manager as well.
So the main question we wanted to ask for this game was, how do you survive the mental and physical strain of crunch, and how does crunch reflect the mind and productivity?
yeah. And then our pitch was basically making a game about where we are a young developer working on a very first 3D design game company, and we're working through crunch. So our main character is passed out. He's having a fever dream, and he has to basically just run through the game while simultaneously trying to wake up and escape through his fever dream.
So the design goal of the game was to create a fast-paced FPS that encourages the use of movement and weapon cycling, and creating obstacles and challenges that cause you to manage these systems and keep the ball rolling and encourage mastery in order to progress.
And over here we have some trailers and some screenshots of the game, and we hope you enjoy it.
Hello, my name is Brianna Mahoney. I'm one half of Team Mixed Media. I currently attend Virginia Wesleyan University, and I'm the artist and programmer for our game, Looking Glass Island. The team's other half, Devin Wessel, the program manager, a narrative designer, and team lead, will be presenting our game today, and we hope you enjoy.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Can you fix the slides? Hello, everyone. My name is Devin, and we are Team Mixed Media, and our game is Looking Glass Island. The theme of our game is unity. And our question that we came up with was, what qualifies as truly knowing someone? And with that, our pitch is, in this Choose Your Own Adventure visual novel, you, the player, must make decisions to help or strand 3 friends on a mysterious island. And the challenges and insights that we went through was, with such a small team, what type of game should we make? And what story could we tell that can shape future projects? Our inspirations are 2 games. It was the Dark Anthropology series and Choices. Thank you.
Yo, what if I told you that all of my work, all of my time in Gameheads led me to a part-time job at Lanix and Gaming as the broadcasting technician? But what if I told you that I'm not the only gamehead in the tech industry? Yo, what if I told you that all of my work, all of my time in Gameheads led me to a part-time job at Lanix and Gaming as the broadcasting technician? But what if I told you that I'm not the only gamehead in the tech industry?
was blessed with the opportunity to work as a production intern at 31st Union.
I've recently accepted an offer as a game design intern at Hangar 13 Games.
I currently work at Sledgehammer Games as a production coordinator.
I was a software engineering intern at a company called Launch Darkly.
I'm currently a level design intern at Sledgehammer Games.
I currently work as a design analyst within the Xbox Game Studios publishing team.
This summer I've been interning at Northwest Natural Gas Company as a security analyst intern.
I'm working full-time at Electronic Arts as a Pathfinder game design intern for Maxis Studios.
I've been working as a tools engineer intern at Sledgehammer Games.
I accepted a full-time internship position with Unknown Worlds Entertainment.
Currently work at Xbox Publishing Studios.
I've been working full-time as an assistant technical producer at Hangar 13 Studios.
I worked as a design intern at 31st Union.
I made sure that the team kept pace to meet deadlines and deliverables.
My responsibilities have consisted of me developing the metagame systems for a new unannounced project.
Keep track of project deadlines and manage my team's tasks.
Mostly working on their UI and UX.
Debugging and scripting changes for game design and level design.
Research games through play, gather data to formulate an analysis, and then present those findings to our team.
Assist with monitoring the overall security posture of the company.
Creating narrative, implementing all for the Sims game.
Help make certain workflows more efficient for developers.
Fixing bugs, cleaning up the code base.
I produce streams. I schedule events.
Offer character and storyline feedback on upcoming titles, and I watch and review playthroughs.
I was in charge of level design, game design.
I owe all my dedication, passion, and love for the gaming industry to Gameheads.
I never could have imagined I got this far, but Gameheads made it possible.
Special shout out to all the students that put in the work, because we make Gameheads.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Taylor. I'm a programmer and I've been a Gamehead student for over 6 years. This summer I was a gameplay programming intern at Double Fine, working on their newest release, Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is also a big full circle moment for me. Game art director Lisette Teacher Montgomery is also a Gameheads board member and has been a mentor to me for nearly 10 years. It's an honor to have my first ever professional video credit on a game that Lisette has also worked on. Psychonauts 2 is a great game, and I am positive it will hold a special place in my heart for many years to come. So, if you are at our special in-person showcase, please stop by the Psychonauts 2 kiosk and give the game a try. But, for now, please enjoy this look at Psychonauts 2.
Incredible! This is where the first Psychonauts met. This is where it all began. No, Raz. This is where it all ended. My name is Raz. And today is my first official day on the job. It was a woman commanding serpents of water.
Maligula.
She's been dead for 20 years!
Nevertheless, she still has her loyal followers to this day.
Now, I'm ready for anything. That's cute. You're not at camp anymore, Raz. You don't usually see this in the physical world.
Just remember you're facing raiding, soldier.
The Psychonauts. We're not here to change people's minds. Not here to fix people. Don't panic.
You said panic!
We're here to help people fight their own demons.
I know what you're up to, kid. Just keep out of my head. You'll be sorry.
I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation you're in. Maligula really could rise again. We need to get to the bottom of this.
You're right. We do.
Here goes nothing.
That brain was booby-trapped. Someone hired him. Someone on the inside.
I'm not sure who to trust anymore.
Isn't it great? The Psychonauts haven't had this kind of a threat in years.
Too late to turn back now. My name is Raz, and today is my first official day on the job. Dad, what are you doing here?
Son, the whole family is here.
My little booty! Oh, no.
My name is Quinn V. Nguyen, and I'm a production coordinator at Sledgehammer Games and a former Gamehead student myself. I'm so proud to be introducing Team Highsiden because not only have they been working so hard to be making this game is going to be one of the first Gameheads commercial games out there. So big props to them. Let's see what they got.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to Team Highsiden. Is the mic okay? Cool. So we're just gonna go ahead and go through our game and everything that we went through to work on it. So my name is Anaya, and I am the artist and animator on the team.
My name is Azaria. I am the co-programmer on the team.
And I'm Darren. I'm the game designer.
Cool. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the concept of the game. So Highsiden is a turn-based PvP dance battling game where we utilize moves that are original to the Bay, like turfing, smeeze, and going dumb, to battle against your opponent and win over the crowd at this sideshow event. And so, go ahead, next slide. And so, a little bit about the purpose and intent of the game. We're going to talk about what is a sideshow, actually. Next slide, please. So, a sideshow is an event where people gather, usually at intersections, at vacant parking lots, and they bring their cars, they bring music, they bring their friends, and perform doing donuts, doing ghost riding, and playing music. And this is a very Bay Area originated event. And the thing that was important about this event to us was that it is considered an illegal event. And so what we wanted to do with the game, or the purpose of making a game about sideshow culture, about hyphy culture, is to really try to push a space where sideshows can be imagined within a sport context rather than being seen as an illegal event. Because while there are certain aspects of it that are dangerous, we think that it would be it's very reasonable to have a game that creates a space in which these activities can be organized. These activities can still have the same kind of bring the same kind of passion that it regularly does, but within a sport context, similar to skateboarding, which was also illegal at some point, but it still holds a communal value that the people within the community want to continue to see and practice with one another. Okay, next slide. So a little bit about our development process. We're going to go through how our management went, our concepts, programming and design, and things of that matter.
And Darren, as the lead designer here, we took a lot of game influences and non-game influences, but most of the game influences that we used were very important to us. Some of them were being like some indie games like Floor Kids and Friday Night Funkin', where we kind of took the dancing and the general play style of Floor Kids and kind of made it our own and put a little twist into it while keeping it authentic to the culture. And we wanted to make sure that when we use influence like Friday Night Funkin' for their camera perspective and how they kind of went about with the turn-by-turn progress. We also revisit some classics and some older style games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter to just figure out and get that true competitive like combat-y feel. And like, for example, with the combos, we kind of based it off of Mortal Kombat and, you know, allowed for us to stick to the culture.
And so with managing the project, something that was important to us was making sure that we are communicative throughout the entire process. Of course, throughout development, we were online for most of this, for all of it really, and so we really have to focus on communicating, maintaining our sprints, being able to adjust as things happen, and management was like a big part of that process. You can go ahead to the next slide. And it allowed us to be able to get out these early design concepts, to be able to kind of see where we want the game to go, how things are going to be laid out, of course, and how people should be set up. Go ahead to the next slide. We had worked on background concepts, revising them, trying to get a more Oakland feel. Go ahead to the next slide. Whether it be going through UI elements, upping the intensity of the colors on screen, upping the UI design, characters, things of that matter. And since we had done all this within the context that we have, having been online, it was really interesting having to kind of work from home, but also be in calls, work with one another in that way. And I definitely think that that we had done a good job communicating and doing so.
I just want to add that this game is a representation of the Bay Area and its culture. It just shows the dance moves, the culture, the language, everything you could see when you come to the Bay Area, and it's a really big thing that we've been working on, that we're trying to represent this Bay Area culture to other people outside of the Bay Area and show them, like, this is what we are, this is what we represent, this is what we do. So it's a big game that we really have been focusing on, and a game that we really want to, make the Bay Area proud with.
Definitely. And thank you all. Thank you all for your time. Follow us on Twitter.
And the game idea came about because when we were doing our brainstorming sessions and we had a ton of ideas on the board, as varied from like the Killer Karen, which we can elaborate on, but I won't for now, to like
say Killer Karen.
The Killer Karen. I'll describe that to you if you're interested later. But and then Camino, before it was known as Camino, which Marissa brought up, because Marissa has Afro-Cuban heritage and pitched this idea.
I love that we got an Afro-Latin game, and it's one of the only two ones. The other one was about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's very essential because for many things, I mean, anti-Blackness and Afro-Latin culture is hardly accepted in society, and they're just othered. The community is constantly othered. All right, and so yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you and Rebecca are the only non-Latinx folks on that team, right?
Yes, that sounds right.
Congrats. You are an ally to the Latinx community. I put that on, I'll give you a sticker or whatever.
I didn't set out to make Afro-Cuban game. It wouldn't have made sense if I posed the idea at all, right? So I honestly just ended up kind of along for the ride and really happy that I was able to take part in it. So it's kind of just if I can, Marissa, I think this is dope as an idea, let's make it happen.
Yeah, that's the mentality.
So thank you for providing us with your perspective, your content, passion, and voice. Good luck. We can't wait to see what you create next. Everyone, I'm Rachel Pohl, Partnerships and Giving Lead on the Social Impact team at Unity, the platform and game engine powering over 70% of the top 1,000 mobile games. It's been such an honor to support this year's Gameheads programming and curriculum. At Unity, we believe the world is a better place with more creators in it, and that creativity can come from anyone, anywhere in the world. So our team focuses on empowering more creators to leverage our technology for impact. So we offer curriculum, certifications, and support programs like Gameheads so that we can contribute to the success of our future creators. Because the future is in the hands of creators like you. We are all so impressed and proud of what you've been able to build, of your creativity, design, and technology skills. The way that you've pushed the boundaries of what's possible. And this industry needs you. So thank you for providing us with your perspective, your content, passion, and voice. Good luck. We can't wait to see what you create next. And I hope to be able to work with you all one day.
Hello, my name is Daryl Kay, creative producer and studio head of Elix San Francisco. I have the honor of introducing Team Introwave. I was really impressed with the team's choice of subject matter for their game Reticent. Being an introvert myself, the idea of the game really piqued my interest and resonated with me on many levels. What really caught my attention as the game was coming together though, was the fact that you can really see how each member of the team interpreted the idea of being an introvert. But enough of what I think, check it out for yourselves.
Hello, everyone. We are Team Interwave, and next slide. This is our game, Reticent. Next slide. And here are our staff and members. I am Dylan Toe, the project manager.
Hello, my name is Alberto. I'm the level designer.
I'm Keith, the UI and sound designer.
And my name's Miguel. I'm the artist and narrative designer.
So as a team full of introverts, we wanted to make a game where our main character resembled us, someone who kind of gets a little anxious at parties or homecomings or any kind of large social event. And so that's kind of where we revolved our game.
In the game of Reticent, you play as Laquan, who is an introvert, and despite being drained, he is going to gather his belongings so he can leave the party.
Our core mechanic of the game is the drain bar, in which Laquan has to interact with NPCs while maintaining his social battery. We wanted to emulate this because we feel that everyone, at least introverts, have this kind of energy that they lose when they interact with a lot of people. And the process he goes through to get his items is interacting with a bunch of NPCs that he might or might not want to interact with.
All right. That will be all from us. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice time at the showcase. Enjoy this GIF of a Shiba Inu. Yep.
Hey everyone, my name is Erika Mariko Olsen, and I'm a publishing producer for Humble Games at Humble Bundle. It is my honor and privilege and pleasure today to introduce you to Team Dreamers. Now this is a team of almost entirely first-timers. Only one person on the team has ever done Gameheads before. And on top of that, like all the other students, they're also juggling school and work and whatever else may be in their lives. So Team Dreamers, I hope you know that what you're showing today is a huge, huge accomplishment, and I hope that you're as proud of yourselves as we all are of you. Now show us what you got.
Hi everyone, my name is Joshua. I'm here to represent Team Dreamers. Next slide, please. So, unfortunately, I'm the only one here local and available to talk. So, I'm just gonna go over and run down different team. First, we have Adia, who is our project manager and our artist. Then we have Devin, who is our sound designer. Ispo, who is our level designer. I am the programmer of the team. Levance is our second sound designer. Maruko is our game designer and narrative designer, as well as Zamir, who is our artist. Next slide, please. So, how do daydreams make life more interesting? Well, daydreams allow us to imagine anything we would like, any fantasy we would like, such as if our jobs was a little bit more fun, or if we like had more fun things to do in our lives. So with daydreams, we can do whatever we'd like. So next slide, please. In Dreamscape is a 2D top-down action arena fighter where we take the role of JoJo, our main protagonist, as she daydreams about doing her chores in the life of quarantine. So in this game, JoJo is fighting her homework rather than actually sitting down at her desk and doing it. Next slide, please. Some challenges we faced was that our team was a little bit less experienced in like hands-on work, and with the majority of us being new, we had this ambitious goal, and ironic enough, was daydreaming about how our game would be, and with that, we had our game lead to something smaller than we would hope. However, despite that, we still had a very much fun time creating this game, and enjoyed making it and presenting it here. Next slide, please. Here is some early concept art. In the bottom right corner, you can see JoJo in our original first idea, where she would wash some dishes, and think of it as a rhythm style based game. Early concept art of our player and how she would stand, as well as some other enemies we would want to add, our chemistry homework and our history homework. And that's all. Thank you. Enjoy the showcase.
What's going on, Gameheads community? My name is Evan Collins.
And I'm Andre Brown.
And we're excited about two things.
So excited.
First, this is our first DEI kickoff initiative. And secondly, this is the first collab we'll be doing with our ERG at Epic Games as we try to build out our mentorship program.
And it's going to be a good collaboration. There's excitement on both sides for the sheer volume and impact.
So we hope you received your gifts. Please continue to use the Unreal Engine and pave the way, as the Unreal Engine is yours.
Enjoy.
My name is Phoebe, and I'm a veteran at Gameheads on Team Jaheen. All of the students and I would like to give all the mentors a big thank you. Without your help, we wouldn't have been able to make all the games that you see today. Because of COVID, we sadly can't physically give you guys a gift, but we did send something through email, so we hope you enjoy. We hope you know how much we appreciate you, and again, I would like to give you a big thank you for all of your help.
What's up, guys? It's Gigi recording this from the Mecca, and I am the artist for Team Spire. I'm excited to show you what our team has been up to this summer.
Thank you, Gigi. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Mahogany Jr., and I am the sound designer and project manager.
I am Dario Quintero. I am the environment artist and programmer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Habib Jamil. I'm the game designer.
And this summer, we have been working on Convert. Now, our game is a top-down exploration game about an android as they try to restore life back to a destroyed town. And along the way, you'll be finding corrupted creatures as well as robots.
Our inspiration is Octopath Traveler and Wall-E.
So developing the visual style for the game was very much like a process as we went along. And so you can see here on the left, we started off with rough sketches and then gradually kind of created a way to make the characters work with the environment in a cohesive way. And
for the sound, for the music, I wanted to give off a somber / hopeful feel as you explore our game. And for the programs that I used were FL Studio and Reaper.
So there was a lot of assets to make for this game when making the environment, and so I wanted to like streamline the asset creation process as much as possible. And so I actually used 3D software such as Blender as a tool to speed this process up. And so you can see here on the left, I have these 3D models that I created. And basically, I was able to make one of these models and then rotate them to create multiple 2D assets out of the same thing. And so it was a bit challenging figuring out this 3D software and like navigating it in a cohesive way. And there's also a lot of math involved as well. Like if you see on the right, making that gate animation was kind of tricky because I needed to like make it procedurable and tweakable. But in the end, I'm happy with how it turned out.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the showcase.
Thank you.
Leo, tell us about your game. Basically, give us your elevator pitch, and yeah, talk about that.
Basically, the idea is like we want to encapsulate the idea and the dance of traditional bullfighting, but with a more sort of rework it into less of a violent angle and more of a one where we can celebrate the culture, but rather than the violence, which is something that you would imagine from a bullfighting game, right?
All right, when y'all first pitched that game to the Gameheads board, I was worried about like, that's a little violent, a little hostile, and who knows, the vegans might attack us. But knowing your team, I feel like one of y'all rented out a mechanical bull and just played around within the backyard. But yeah, talk about your references, your points of inspiration, and yeah.
Yeah, not quite the mechanical bull, yeah, in real life, but we did get some really great resources from the Book of Life. The main character with the bull, it wasn't robotic, but it was like that idea of like the torero versus the ginormous huge beast that is the bull, and that sort of dichotomy of basically the natural and almost mechanical look was really the forefront of our visual design.
Not only do you preserve the the rated E for everyone by doing that, but you also add a technological element with the land and culture. Like, well, if Mexicans had this technology, inheritance, would bullfighting be as violent as it is today?
Hello everybody, I'm Rich Gallup, executive producer at Other Side Entertainment, here to introduce Team Spicy. Now, a lot of them, like me, are new to Gameheads, but you never would have guessed it based on the development velocity and continuous iteration they've demonstrated in making a really fun game. So congratulations to and introducing Reina, Yvette, Leo, Theo, Juan, and Rogelio. It's Team Spicy. Wait, who's that?
Hello everyone, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our game, Ole Torobo, a Mexican-inspired video game about bullfighting. I want to emphasize all the hard work and passion that all of our team members have put into our project in order to showcase and celebrate Mexican culture.
This is our amazing team. Unfortunately, two of our members, Juan and Leo, couldn't make it, but they are watching it live right now. Hope you guys are enjoying the silly pictures.
So the main focus question that we have for our game is how are we able to capture and reimagine the essence of Mexican bullfighting culture?
So, Ole Torobo is a top-down action game where the player uses well-timed dodges and positioning in order to steer robotic bulls into breakable terrain for damage. As you progress through the game, you'll be able to see the game's identity of Mexican culture at its core. So you'll be playing as Maria. A poor townsgirl turned bullfighter when she encounters an escaped mechanical bull that has been let loose in her hometown. She then has to take on the risks and dangers of bullfighting in order to provide for her family and also rise to fame and glory. So throughout the experience, you will be facing increasingly harder obstacles and opponents. Will she be able to overcome all the odds and come out victorious, or will she fail? So that will be for you to play and find out. So this is some of our footage that our game has been showing. We wanted to create a vibrant, colorful world where the player is able to experience intense gameplay that leaves you on the edge of your seats. We also wanted to create a Mexican inspired world that is futuristic and also showcases like the Mexican culture.
So talking about the inspirations for our game, of course, we had to take inspiration off Mexican bullfighting. We make sure we do our correct research. We had to search up how these individuals will be dressed, how these individuals, participate in the sport. For Enter the Gungeon, our inspiration there was the movement itself. The movement was always strategic and well-intentioned, so we made sure our gameplay is similar to that. And finally, for River City Girls, if you played that game, there's comedic dialogue in the very beginning as introductions, so we wanted to do something a little lighthearted for our game.
So some of the challenges that we faced during development was that Juan had to prioritize making the UI assets. Leo had to make sure that the code was clean and was organized in the game. Reina, the artist, had to choose whether or not to polish the art or move on. And then for me, I had to research and portray Mexican culture in a respectful manner.
So before we conclude, we want to end this presentation by saying this project goes out to the individuals who want more from the game industry. We wanted to create something that Mexican people can be proud of, and at the end of the day, we hope you enjoy our remix depiction of Mexican bullfighting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yo, what's poppin'? What's take back in? After all the rehearsals, we actually didn't practice our outro, our exit,
You actually still have your mask on?
Oh, I still have my mask on. Yeah, you see, we didn't practice this part. I'm the one behind the buttons. I'm also the one behind the animated footage. My name is Zoram Tomas Mercado Oviedo Ruiz Ventura El Tercero de Oakland. So, what's up, y'all?
Well, I want to thank all of the people that tuned in. I want to give a big shout out to all of the students that worked on their games and that put this whole event together. They did a fantastic job. I want to thank all of our sponsors who made this whole thing possible. And most importantly, I want to thank the AV streaming crew who are behind all of this. You guys don't see this right now, but everything behind you is a complete and total organized mess. And they've done a fantastic job, including my good friend, Zoram Tomas Mercado.
Oviedo Ruiz. He called me a friend. I want to give a shout out to my camera operator, Gabriel Morales. I want to give a shout out to Lara, who's my production assistant, keeping me on track and calm. Give a shout out to our graphic designer and our After Effects animator. Dope work. Peep them out.
Oh, you can't forget Change Consulting. Give a shout out to Change Consulting, Bill and Mesfin Packwood, my wife, and Layla, who is in the next room. They did a fantastic job helping us promote the event and helping us get organized. And who are we forgetting?
We're forgetting my mom, my dad, my grandparents. I want to give a shout out to all of the Gameheads students. Because
I already shouted them out.
I know, but I want to give a shout out to all the Gameheads students because we did this through COVID. Virtually. Some of y'all met each other for the first time today.
I literally just met some students for the first time today.
Literally, it's like I'm seeing folks from a video game come into real life. And it's insane because we made video games, they made video games, and they look great for, virtual game development.
I think we got to go.
You think I got to go? All right, preview the black and go ahead and transition to closing scene. And take it, Laura.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.